family and the families of the children what they're going through right now. Our children truly deserve to be safe. The circumstances that allowed this incident to take place are reprehensible, and it's critical that a tragedy like this never happens again. I also want to address the ongoing disciplinary process related to the killing of Kowalski Trawick by two NYPD officers. NYPD Deputy Commissioner Maldonado's recommendation that no disciplinary action be taken against the officers is disappointing, and it's unjust. The NYPD failed to hand over key evidence to the CCRB, including body-worn camera footage, in a timely manner, causing unnecessary delays that impeded the CCRB's ability to do their job. And yet, these delays caused by the NYPD were the reason for the Deputy Commissioner's recommendation, which is unjustified. The Trawick family sat in this room just a couple of months ago with us. They have been forced to fight and wait for years to attain some form of accountability for Kowalski's killing. This is far too long and has only added to the suffering of losing a loved one. Commissioner Caban can still do the right thing by holding the two officers accountable for their actions. And that is what the Trawick family and our city deserve. Accountability is critical to public safety. For months, the council, the city, and state governments have asked the federal government to expedite work authorizations for asylum seekers. Last week, the Biden administration took action to redesignate temporary protected status for Venezuela. This is an important step in the right direction. It is pivotal that the city focus efforts toward providing support for those potentially eligible to help them navigate the process and ensure the benefits of TPS are accessed. With a significant proportion of new arrivals in New York City being from Venezuela, TPS designation can allow thousands to secure legal and safe employment so they can support themselves and contribute to our economy. This pathway can bring critical relief for families, the communities in which they live, and our cities. Additional support through continued collaboration across all levels of government will be necessary, and we look forward to maintaining partnerships with all stakeholders to pursue TPS for additional countries in addition to other important solutions to help the people of our city and others across the country. Now, let's move on to our stated agenda. First, we'll vote on the following finance items: a preconsidered resolution to authorize an Article 11 exemption for 2 new buildings in Council Member Farias's district. A preconsidered resolution to renew an Article 5 exemption for 1 building in Councilmember Abreu's district. 4 preconsidered resolutions to act on recently granted state authorization to allow the council to amend the required formula for calculating the fiscal year 2024 property tax rates. Passing this package of resolutions will result in lower property tax rates for Class 1 and Class 2 residential properties in this fiscal year compared to what was adopted in the budget in June. Next, we'll vote on the following land use items. 1460-1480 Sheridan Boulevard will facilitate 3 new mixed-use buildings with 100% affordable housing in Councilmember Salamanca's district. It will include approximately 970 housing units, nearly 140,000 square feet of commercial space, and bike and automobile parking spaces. 244 East 106th Street Article 11 disposition will facilitate the development of a 10-story shared supportive housing building under HPD's Share NYC pilot program. It will create approximately 32 affordable units in Deputy Speaker Ayala's district. 2761 Plum 2nd Street rezoning will allow an existing restaurant to continue operating without renewing its BSA special permit every 5 years in Minority Whip Ina Vernikoff's district. 125 Greaves Lane will facilitate the conversion of an existing community facility into commercial use in Minority Leader Borelli's district. Next, we'll vote on the following pieces of legislation. Introduction 743A, sponsored by Councilmember Rafael Salamanca, would require city employees who can issue summonses or notices of violation to provide a pre-printed, handwritten, or electronic business card with identifying information to members of the public upon request. The business card would include the employee's name and agency, a telephone number, and email address that can be used to contact the agency and the relevant 311 customer service number. The city employee will indicate that this contact information may be used to submit comments about the encounter. Employees who are engaged in agency-approved undercover activities who must take immediate action or are providing identifying information through other forms of documentation, like a certificate of inspection or notice of violation, are exempt. Councilmember Salamanca could not join us today, but we thank him for his work on this legislation. Introduction 906A, sponsored by Councilmember Justin Brannan, would require an agency or office designated by the mayor to offer off-street parking for tractor trailers and commercial trucks at 3 or more locations citywide by 2025. This is especially important in outer borough residential neighborhoods where overnight truck parking has taken up curbside space and often blocks car traffic, bus lanes, or bike lanes. And I invite Councilmember Brannan to the podium to speak about this legislation.
Thank you, Speaker. This is just a real no-brainer piece of legislation. You've got tractor trailers and commercial trucks that are parking illegally overnight in residential areas because they've got nowhere else to park. So you've got about 3.5 million packages are delivered every single day in the city of New York, and 90% of that commerce comes through the city via truck. So these trucks have to park somewhere. We want them to be able to park somewhere safely. We also want them to park somewhere legally. We can't have our residential streets looking like a Flying J truck stop, if anyone's ever been to a Flying J. But this is really a win-win. It'll get commercial trucks and tractor trailers off residential streets. It'll also give truckers a place to park safely and legally. And we could generate some revenue for the city as well, because I think truckers and the ones I've spoken with and the advocacy groups I've spoken with think that truckers would actually appreciate having a location and regional locations where they could park legally and safely and not risk getting a ticket or getting their truck vandalized. So this is one of those issues where everyone thinks that they're the only district dealing with it. It's actually a whole lot of districts in the outer boroughs that deal with this. Certainly it's been exacerbated through supply chain issues and COVID. So this is a piece of legislation that I think is a no-brainer, and it should be a win-win for truckers and for our residents and constituents alike. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Brannan. Next, we'll vote on Introduction 349, sponsored by Public Advocate Jumaane Williams, which would require the Department of Correction to create a dyslexia screening process for individuals in custody and offer treatment programs for those who are identified. I now invite the Public Advocate to come and speak about his legislation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And first, I just want to make sure I associate myself with comments in your opening statement, particularly the ones around Kowalski-Trawick. And again, thank you for your leadership on these issues and having the body make sure they're filling in the gap when it comes to justice and issues that concern that. So thank you so much. When it comes to Intro 349A, Rikers dyslexia bill, Rikers remains in crisis, and the foundation on which the system was built were not designed to truly support the needs or well-being of people on the inside. Excuse me. Dyslexia is already under-discussed, and I think most people would agree, underdiagnosed in our city, and evidence suggests that this problem is exponentially worse among people who are incarcerated. By screening and servicing affected individuals, we can help correct an educational service gap that should have been addressed long ago, providing new opportunities for people on the inside and helping them to prevent them from re-entering the criminal legal system in the future. Identifying and addressing dyslexia and illiteracy through trained educators will make time while incarcerated more positive and employment after incarceration more accessible. If we had done a better job as a city of meeting this need early in New York's education, we may have prevented many people from becoming in contact with the system in the first place. And so I'm just thankful that the body is going to be voting on this. I know that the administration has made this an issue as well, and hopefully they will sign this very quickly. The work that they're doing in the schools coincides very well with hopefully preventing people from going in. But once they're in, if we don't deal with it, it's very likely that it won't be dealt with, and they may come in, and it's very clear the connection between illiteracy, not getting education, dyslexia, and having very limited choices in what you can do that often leads to choices that are not beneficial to society and end up incarcerated. With this bill, we can at least begin to identify the problem for folks. If people have ever been diagnosed with something, many times just being told what is wrong is such a burden off you when you've been struggling for such a long time. And I'm glad that we can be a part of helping lift this burden and helping folks make better decisions in their life and hopefully connect them with the services they need. So thanks again to the body, to the chair, and to the speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Public Advocate. Introduction 279A, sponsored by Majority Leader Keith Powers, would require the city to only purchase zero-emissions light and medium-duty vehicles after 2025 and zero-emissions heavy-duty vehicles after 2028. It would also require the city to ensure that its entire fleet of municipal vehicles is converted to zero-emissions vehicles by 2038, with earlier goals for some vehicle types. Introduction 279A also requires the training of city workers on the repair and maintenance of these new vehicles and reporting on workforce development to ensure that we are protecting both the environment and our city's workers. We're also voting on a preconsidered resolution sponsored by Majority Leader Powers calling on the mayor to procure on the basis of best value when contracting for the purchase, operation, and maintenance of zero-emission vehicles. And I invite Majority Leader Powers to speak about this very important legislation.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. We are here to celebrate today a major milestone with the passage of Intro 279, the Zero Emissions Vehicle for New York City Act, which will literally drive down New York City's carbon footprint over the next decade. With this legislation, we'll become the largest municipality in the country to require the conversion of its fleet to zero-emission vehicles. This is a huge step for cleaner air and our greener future. Motor vehicles make up 28% of our overall greenhouse gas emissions, and New York City, as many of us know, itself has many vehicles. We have at least 30,000 vehicles in our city fleet, which is the largest in the entire country. Within 15 years, the city will have entirely eliminated carbon-emitting gas guzzlers from our fleet. Starting in 2025, the city must only purchase zero-emission light-duty and medium-duty vehicles. So within 2 years, the city has to just start only purchasing for medium-light vehicles, electric vehicles. 28, we're going to move to heavy-duty and specialized vehicles, and leading a path to 2038 where we will have every single vehicle in active duty be electric vehicles. This is a major milestone, putting our city fleet ahead of other fleets throughout the country when it comes to converting to electric vehicles. It is, I always say, New York City should be a leader when it comes to the environment, but we're also a market mover, meaning what we and other cities do will also help to move the entire market around electric vehicles and help accelerate the process for this country to have the infrastructure and the vehicles available to do this throughout the country. I want to thank a lot of folks for helping us get here today. We had the folks from Sierra Club here, Ben Jealous, and the entire team from Sierra Club who worked tirelessly over the last year and a half to help us get to this point. We have a great partnership with labor as part of this, and part of the announcements that have been made in the past have left out the labor force. And the big question that has been out there has been what's going to happen to the mechanics and electrician and auto workers here who work on those vehicles right now. And we are taking measures as part of my bill to protect them and make sure they are properly trained and retained as part of this process here as well. And I want to thank the entire community of advocates and colleagues who have joined in to support this. We have 40 sponsors on the bill, and very, very proud that we're finally taking the step to do it. I will say it came with a lot of work over the last year and a half to get us to this point. So I want to thank my team who's here today, to Ben, to Isaac, and to Haley, who worked tirelessly on this. And I want to give a very big high five to our own Brad Reed, who spent, while sick with COVID, by the way, to help negotiate this bill to make sure we landed the plane on this one. And I always say so they're standing behind the cameras, but they deserve a lot of credit because they did so much work to get us here and can be a big part of history here in New York City and for this country. So thank you to the Speaker, thank you to the staff, thank you for everyone who's fought to make sure New York City is an environmental leader. This is a very, very big day and big step that we're taking here today. Thank you.
Congratulations, Majority Leader. Great work. And a preconsidered introduction sponsored by Councilmember Gail Brewer would create a one-time exception to the maximum age requirement for employees of the FDNY's Bureau of Emergency Medical Services who are seeking to take the next civil service promotion exam to become firefighters. Under existing law, in order to become a firefighter for the FDNY, an individual may not have passed their 29th birthday when applying to take the firefighter exam. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, FDNY hiring cycles were delayed for several years, and civil service exams were not offered at their usual frequency. As a result, a group of nearly 300 EMS workers who would have otherwise been eligible to take a promotion exam in 2020 have now reached an age where they are ineligible. This legislation creates a one-time waiver to allow those EMS workers who missed this opportunity to take the upcoming promotion exam in 2024, and I invite Councilmember Brewer to discuss her very timely and important bill today.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I certainly want to thank the Chair of the Fire Committee, Councilmember Ariola, and also this bill would not have been passed without the amazing EMS to be firefighters if they pass the exam, and they testified, they lobbied. Michael Kavanaugh is one of them, and his father, who is a retired captain, he testified. Christopher Negro and a wonderful woman named Haley Sato, Dominic DeFranco, Jordan Timoney. I just want to mention them because they were certainly the face of what we're trying to accomplish here today. So this legislation, as you heard, would create a one-time waiver from existing age requirements for becoming a firefighter for EMS workers who would have otherwise been able to take the exam had it been given its usual frequency, which is every 4 years, but for the delays of what happened during the pandemic. We all know our firefighters and EMS workers are some of the bravest and most dedicated public service in our city. They put their lives on the line every day to protect our families and our communities. And during COVID, they were there on the front line, sacrificing their health and the health of their loved ones. We owe them a lot of gratitude. This legislation is a small way to show our appreciation for their service and to give these heroes a fair chance to compete for promotions in the fire department. What's most important is, as an EMS, you then have the skills and the experience to be a successful firefighter. And they should not be barred from taking the promotional exam simply because they are over the current maximum age. And COVID prevented them from taking the test in 2020. There are, as the speaker said, around 300 such persons who could take the test when and if this bill passes. I realize that this one-time exemption will not cover everyone who wants to take the exam. However, I do want to thank the speaker, staff, and the administration because after the discussions, more people were included than we actually had originally proposed. I am confident that we have maximized an opportunity that is consistent with the law, and it certainly is the right thing to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Brewer, and that concludes our stated agenda. And with that, we will take on-topic questions first.
Madam Speaker, in your introductory remarks, you talked about the asylum seeker crisis.
Only on the stated items.
Okay.
We'll come back.
Yes.
As long as you go back to him. But the dyslexia bill, I mean, you know, Mayor Adams has talked about this a lot. He says he's implementing it at some point on Rikers Island. I'm wondering if there's been coordination with the DOC, with the mayor's side, and whether this bill conflicts or contradicts with anything that they're planning.
I don't really see any conflict with this. You know, as the public advocate said, this has been a priority for the administration for a very long time due to, you know, the mayor's very, you know, outward being vocal about his own experience with it. So I don't think that there is any problem as far as collaboration or agreement with the bill. I think that is most welcomed on both sides of City Hall.
Any other questions on our stated items? Okay, Andrew, I'll come back to you.
Okay. In your introductory remarks, Speaker, you talked about saying that it's pivotal the city focus its efforts on supporting the asylum seekers, particularly as they try to get work.
Yes.
But the new flyer that Deputy Mayor Williams-Eisen talked about yesterday and that the mayor has referred to essentially discourages anyone from arriving here
wondering what you think of that flyer and if you find it contradictory to what you're calling.
Well, the bottom line is we have to be truthful about the challenges that New York City faces in providing adequate services for such a high number of migrants without embellishing anything. But really, Andrew, our focus has to be on solutions, and what we're going to do and what we are doing about the situation at hand. We have to make sure that we are partnering with all levels of government. But, that said, once again, there really is no need to embellish an issue that I think right now the nation sees as critical and most certainly a problem for New York City. So, to your question, we need to focus on solutions.
Just to clarify, do you think their understandable, perhaps, PR campaign to dissuade people from coming here might be embellishing the actual services that people can get?
It may. Thank you.
Other questions? Morgan?
Hi, Speaker.
Hi,
I
Morgan.
apologize. I have two kind of long questions for you. The first one is with the City FEPS expansion. I know you guys came out with a statement on Tuesday about it.
Yep.
But just wondering what you guys are going to be watching out for in terms of making sure that the special one-time assistance program doesn't happen again this time around. What you guys are going to be looking for in terms of inspections and making sure people are getting in the proper permit. And then the second thing I wanted to ask you about is the council getting migrant numbers and regular updates on exactly where some of these migrants and asylum seekers are coming from, how many are in the system, how many are leaving the system? Are you guys getting regular updates? Is there some sort of database you can access personally?
Oh, if only. But I'll deal with your first question first. As far as the city FEPS information and implementation on that expansion is concerned, we will be, monitoring the situation. Of course, it is of paramount importance to us. You saw everything that it took us to get into that space, and now with the expansion, we're really happy with it, and hopefully that's going to help quite a bit. So we will be monitoring the situation. Both sides, my staff and the administration will be taking a look at it, in addition to our oversight hearings, which is, basically the glue that puts all this stuff together. With relation to the migrant situation and numbers are concerned, I wish there were a database. This situation has caused so many things to happen all at one time. There really isn't, even in my estimation, there really has not been significant time in order to create such a database. Who is going to man that database or woman that database? Maybe. So that, I understand that piece of it. As far as the numbers are concerned, again, our teams talk on a daily basis and often. So the numbers are coming in, they're coming in very quickly. It's just a very, very hard thing to keep up with because, an estimate on a bus coming in, at any given time may or may not be accurate. So things may change at any given time. Yeah, thank you.
Other topic questions? Jeff, you'll be the last one.
There's another congestion pricing, traffic mobility review board hearing on Monday. I know you've spoken before about what you hope to see, but that was like a year ago. So just wondering, are you hoping to see exemptions for certain large categories, either yourself or the council?
It's still, it's still such it's a sore point for some, and it is a great thing for others. We're going to land somewhere in the middle of this great thing and sore point, and we will land there. And my hope is, though, that there are still enough talks going on that we can make some kind of exemptions for some, those that need it the most. Certainly, it's understandable why that would be needed.
Thank you all. That's all.
Thanks, everybody. Law students, good luck to you. Come visit us anytime. Thanks, Grace.
Speaker, are you a Freemason?
My dad was. My dad was.
Really?
Yes, he was. You may print that, Jeff.